friends, welcome in this morning. I hope you're ready for a fun video. I put my festive shirt on. It's got like Christmas lights and snowflakes, got a princess mug. It's just, I'm feeling a fun vibe today. I'm just gonna put it out there right now. I ordered some things from Ulta. It's so random, you guys. Several new drugstore things. We got a primer that looks exactly like a stick of butter, like exactly like a stick of butter. And most importantly, I did the Lisa Frank thing. This was not so much for my 36-year-old self, but this was for my, I don't know, 2nd through 8th grade self. If you were a child in the 90s, you know how great this stuff was. And back then, did we appreciate it enough? Did we appreciate the gaudy, just off the charts nature of this stuff? Or did it take some decades passing before we return to this and say, oh my gosh, this is makeup, y'all. This is a new Morphe collection, which I buy very little Morphe. It's gonna be a colorful palette. I just had to, though. Even my mom saw it and she was like, I remember that stuff. And my kids, you know, even though they don't remember it, they're drawn to it. Like, what is that? Unicorns, neon. Anyway, I got the brush set and that, and I've got some other just random new things that I'm going to be trying out here. Maybe a couple things that I've played with a little bit, including this butter primer. Okay, this is from Beauty Bakery. I saw they had a new primer. It's called the Hydra Silk Primer. It says plus antioxidants, and I love, like, you turn the stick and it totally reminds you of that kind of like cloudy transparent paper that a stick of butter is wrapped in. So even though I used this once, I had to pop it back in the box so you guys could, you know, get that full visual there. And then the actual stick, they've gone to the trouble of marking off the tablespoons as well on the side. I love little details like that. I love when products give you that little extra reason to smile, okay? So this is what it looks like. This is a stick primer, and it feels really smooth, almost more smoothing than like super goopy and hydrating. I mean, they call it the Hydra Silk Primer, and I guess I kind of get that because after I put it on kind of in the amount, like if I imagine putting on a stick foundation, I just pop it on that way. After I get it on, it does have like a silkiness, but also a little bit of a hydration feel. So I guess the name is accurate, Hydra Silk. The texture of your skin feels more consistent and even all over. It's gonna take some more use of this product, pairing it with different foundations, you know, seeing how it goes, how the staying power goes. I'm gonna put a little extra on the under eye though, why not? Kind of pat it in, but it does go on like butter, but not as greasy as butter. And I just think the design, the color, the packaging is all brilliant. Okay, so we got that. Here's another new thing that I had to try. It is the L'Oreal Skin Paradise Water Infused Tinted Moisturizer. So we know L'Oreal's Lash Paradise was kind of the first item in this range, and now they're branching out. They're making Skin Paradise. I got this in the shade Light 01. I tried it out yesterday, and friends, this is the most yellow looking shade on the planet, but oh, I should probably shake it up, give it a little shake. It's kind of thin. It's really a pretty typical tinted moisturizer texture. Just squeezes out. I give myself kind of a generous amount because I know, you know, the coverage is going to be light. It does have a super thin feel. While it's going to add some moisture to the skin, some moisture, it's definitely still pretty thin. Not the type of thing where I would completely go without any additional moisturizer underneath, but that's coming from a normal to dry person. But you see the yellow? The yellow is intense. I'm going to take my Real Techniques Blend and Blur brush and just show you the basically light coverage that this product has. If it were that color and it were full coverage, we'd be in trouble right now. You know, that kind of color wouldn't just mesh in. But see how the coverage is so light and it's such a thin product that really thins out, and, you know, my skin doesn't really look that different as a result of having it on. But you know, I just bought the shade that I normally buy, like light, okay, light. So it's all blended in. I do feel like the skin looks more even. I also feel like that primer did something for the pores because that's really looking kind of blurred across the nose. So I'm liking the effect from that. But overall, you know, this is a product where you're gonna see the freckles through, the age spots, the blemish remnants, whatever. It seems like a pretty standard tinted moisturizer. They say awaken fresh glow with luminous coverage and 24-hour hydration. Who the heck's getting 24-hour hydration? It does have SPF 19, aloe vera, and witch hazel. And I don't know if you could tell when I was holding it up there, but it looks like it has little like droplets all over it. Can you see that? I like it. I think that's cute. Now I need some concealer. I'm just going to use one that I haven't used in a while. It's my Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer in the shade Nude from Too Faced. This is a really good concealer. I don't talk about this one enough. It's kind of a middle ground for me, like we just talked about in my last video, really hydrating concealers. I don't feel like this is super hydrating, but it's also, I don't think, as drying as some of the really full coverage ones are. But just dot that around. I'm going to take my little Real Technique Splend and Blur contour brush. That's what this is. It's not actually a concealer brush, but just blend that around. Definitely need to help the coverage out a little bit because that was just a pretty thin tinted moisturizer. Did it give the skin a lot of luminosity? Like I'm just kind of looking across this plane of the face, like maybe a little glow, but the color, it was hard to get past the color being so off. And then once it blended in, I don't know, I guess I was just kind of relieved that I still couldn't see that amount of yellowiness on my skin. Wasn't really paying attention to how luminous I might have looked. But again, this is not a full review on this stuff. I'm really just playing around with a lot of it for the second time, if not the first time, some of it. So concealer is blended in on my key areas, and that like helps the overall feel of the coverage a lot. Now, another thing I got on Ulta's website, I was looking at Hourglass. Yes, Hourglass is now being sold at Ulta. You probably realize that. And I got one of these. This is the ambient lighting powder in Ethereal Light. And I was interested in this because I was noting just how much lighter this is compared to Diffused Light. Diffused Light, it's in the Sculpture palette. Diffused is the center one in the top row. Okay, so Ethereal is like really next level light, like seems kind of like a translucent powder, I guess is how I'd explain it, you know, one of those white translucent powders. I had looked up some reviews on this and people seem to really like it, and even like it in a setting type capacity, and thought it was even more brightening. So I thought, what about, you know, trying a little bit of that as an under eye setting type deal. So that's what I'm doing. I'm picking it up really lightly, and I'm just going to set the whole T-zone and under eye. If you have this, what's your skin tone? And also, like, what do you most like to use it for? Are you liking to use it really lightly, like an all over the face finishing powder? It's not like it's got a bunch of glow. It doesn't seem like. But I was looking for something that wouldn't dim down the under eye whatsoever while also setting it. But do you like it like under eye setting powder, or how do you most want to use that one? It really doesn't look heavy at all on the skin. Like these powders tend to be, they're very undetectable looking. But that's something that's been around for a long, long time. You know, these various shades of the ambient lighting powder. But new to Ulta, so it made me look twice. Next up, I'm going to do a little bronzer, another step where I don't really have something new. So I'm going to pull out my Hoola. I haven't used this one in quite some time. And I'm just going to bronze up my skin a little bit. Actually, last time I used it was probably more in my Cheek Stars palette, not my individual. What song's in your head right now? Let me know in the comments. The one I got is Last Christmas I Gave You My Heart. Take it, viewers. You gave it away. Ooh, that's the new direction of my channel, sing-alongs. It'd be fun if this was live and there were a bunch of people actually all singing along at the same time. Okay, can you see, like, when I turn my head this way, are we seeing an effect from that ethereal light up here? Does this zone of the cheek look extra illuminated? The interesting thing is it's not shiny. Like, getting up close to it, you can't see a highlighter type vibe. Okay, just getting that Hoola down the neck. Everywhere. I remember being in news and taking bronzer literally all over all of the face, because I felt like my face just got so washed out on camera. The lights were so harsh. Then we're going to have a little holiday moment with something that I don't think I've mentioned yet from Clinique. It's the Cheek Pop palette, and it comes with the black honey and pink honey blushes and then a highlight over here. So let's start with the pink honey. And these are those little, you know, cheek pop blushes individually. They've got that flower imprint if you were to buy them on their own. I'm going for a little bit of the pink there. They're very firm. Like, you will never generate any fallout out of those. So subconsciously you feel like maybe you need to scrub into them a little bit. You really don't. I mean, can you see the color coming off there on my cheeks? Pretty. I do like that light pink. I'm tempted to go into the little bit deeper shade though. Bubba is so cute when we're eating. I have up on my counter where he's kind of like angled off toward, he can see my little Bose speaker, and that's where like I play music from. We listen to like Halloween songs. If you go to the Amazon Music and you get on their playlists, like we were listening to the Halloween Kids playlist for weeks and they were loving those songs so much. And now we switched to, I think we're on the top 100 Christmas songs playlist, and if he sits down and there's not any music playing, he starts pointing at the speaker. I would like a little background music with my fine dining, thank you very much. Okay, how do we feel about that? These blushes are not really a little goes a long way. Like, they have a tendency to make you build them up slowly because you tap in, you don't really see much coming off on your brush, and then you start to see it building on the cheeks, but you kind of, you know, it's a slow build. But that's the type of look if you pretty much have both of these on together. And then let's do a little bit of the highlight. That seems more pronounced if you were to swatch it. It's got like kind of a champagne-y, little bit of a very light golden vibe. And I'm just gonna pop that there on top of the cheek. Very pretty. Now I'm remembering the Lisa Frank brushes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there were a couple face brushes in there. See? It's not all eye brushes. This one is probably more like a highlighter brush, and this one a blush brush. So it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 multicolored brush set that came in this little bag with the little tiger friend on each end. You know Carol Baskin's going after this one. So there's this angled pink brush. Let's just take a little blush with that. That could be a fine blush brush. I mean, it's a good size. Got a little angle, it could do contour, it could really do highlight too. For me, the way I like to do all over face powder with a fairly small brush, that could work in that capacity also. This one that looks like a jumbo eye brush, way bigger than anything I'd use on the eyes, but this is a style of brush a lot of people like for highlighter. So if we just went into a little bit of that and just blessed the cheekbones with some of that, that's nice. That works well also. Then we're left with, why did they do like two sort of eye crease brushes? One that seems, it's not like a complete blunt cut, there's a little taper down the sides, but it's just really full, and one that definitely does have a little bit more of a domed look, but size-wise, they're both pretty full. And then we got something that could be like more of an outer corner type deal, still rather full, but I don't know. Well, the jury's out on how this is going to work. And then a little flat brush, which is going to be necessary for all these bright colors, right? And then before I forget, I do have a new mascara. That'll be coming after the palette. Right now I'm going to spritz on some Farsali Rose Gold Skin Mist because I'm determined to use that up. Maybe by the end of the year I will do it. Set that face, set that face. And I'm just going to go through the brows. This is a little ABH Dip Brow Pomade because, I don't know, in the high-end Your Irreplaceable High-End Faves video, I used it again and I kind of got to liking it. I really use so little. I barely touch my brush into the product and away we go. I would say the skin is looking pretty darn good right now, considering this is all based on, like, rooted in a tinted moisturizer. That was a pretty average seeming tinted moisturizer, to be honest. But these complexion type things that went on after, so good. Now just a little bit of my M Cosmetics Clear Flexibrow Brow Gel over top. Milani eyeshadow primer, still using that one tube, still pushing out the product. Now, this Morphe palette, it's called the 35B by Lisa Frank, and they had, I want to say, 3 different choices for how the exterior could look, I chose the unicorns. And you turn it around and there's more unicorns. And I do love the fact that instead of just opening up like a regular palette, it's opening up kind of like a trapper keeper, you know? That's really bringing me back to the elementary school days. And then we have a mirror inside, and it even says this palette belongs to, and a line where you could put your name, you know, as though this was your folder or your trapper keeper. And then there's all the color on the inside. So I'm not normally really drawn to a lot of Morphe palettes because I feel like they look almost computer generated most of the time. Like, okay, let's do a gradient of these shades, a gradient of these shades. It's like every very subtle change between a light brown and medium brown, and then, you know, there's everything in between. This one doesn't appear at a glance to have a lot of overlap. It seems like, at least as the shades get progressively lighter or brighter, each one is kind of doing its own thing, but we're gonna have a bright look today, my friends. It's gonna be bright. I'm thinking green. And I'm a little scared of the brushes because size-wise they just seem so big. But I'll take this blue one here, and I'll start out to warm myself up. I think I'll go to this like kind of peachy color here called Balloon Buddies, and I'll just get some of that going in the crease. You're looking at a lot of matte in this palette, actually. Bold matte colors, and where there is shimmer, it doesn't look like they went the route of doing a lot of like sparkly, super fallout inducing shimmer. Like they almost look more like satin finishes, some of the shimmers at a glance. Yeah, this brush feels monstrous compared to my E25. I like how each brush in the brush set was a different color. Why don't brands do that more with their brush sets? That's really fun. So getting that like peachiness just kind of all up in the creasel region. And we do have a nice light cream up here called Princess Pearls. Every name of a shade is trademarked. Like, was it the name of a certain character or design on different Lisa Frank stuff? Okay, now I think we want to go in with like a little flat brush here, our flat friend, and something kind of deep, and just start putting that in the outer corner. There's a really pretty looking dark green here called Forest, and that's what I'm drawn to now. There's also a very pretty berry right on top of that. Really, this whole side row is really, really beautiful. So hopefully we don't get a bunch of fallout. Man, that's pigmented. That's a really strong, what you see is what you get, dark green. I'm gonna be flipping my brush a little bit to get some in the crease because I'm kind of having a, oh my gosh, did I pick up too much type of moment. Gosh, remember all the Lisa Frank stuff we used to have, like pencils and like little erasers? Remember when small erasers were a real big thing? Like people collected little erasers. If that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know, I probably seem really old right now. Now I think I'm gonna try taking this purple guy here, this really, you know, chunkier seeming, but smaller than the others type of brush. And I'm wondering if I can blend out a little of what I just packed on there. Not really the way I'd like. E25, you're getting called in. Going to Forest. Getting a little more on the brush, just working it in the crease a little bit. It's really beautiful how that shade does show up so true to color. It doesn't just get murky. It's a real greeny green. I want to pack something else on the lid, maybe edge it in a little bit lighter. We'll go to the shade next to it called Saturn Sunday. Really close, but a little more brightness and lightness in that shade. If you bought this palette, did you buy it because you genuinely loved like the look of the palette and the colors inside, or because of Lisa Frank nostalgia like me? Now I think might be a time to play with a little different color. I want to see how a shimmer goes down, and I'm thinking about right here this one called Priscilla. If any of these look like they might be on the chunky side, it's that, but it's really not. See how it's more just like a metallic pink? We're gonna take that from the innermost part. I do like this little stiff flat brush. I feel like I have a lot of control with it. and just let that shade kind of come in from here. Man, I had no idea where I was gonna go with this look today. I knew it was gonna be bright, but I didn't know I was gonna do this. I just love those greens so much. Let that pink really just overlap. If you want a little light inner corner action, there is a shade called Rory right up here. Kind of a buttery light shade that looks sort of pretty. I almost want a little something deeper right at this point where there's some overlap. Rainbow Majesty right here underneath that shimmery pink. Maybe just a little dab of that going in between. I'm just not seeing that shade a lot. It might be having a little trouble on the overlap. Oh, it's kind of like, I don't want to call it a sheer shade, but it seems like it's a slightly different texture, like a lighter kind of iridescent vibe. Okay, I want to take a smaller brush, like this little guy from Profusion, really good in the outer corner, make sure it's cleaned off. And I want to go back to Forest. Actually, let's go to Saturn Sunday, a little more forgiving. And I want to more shape the green. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of pull it up, get it exactly the shape I want. An E25 and definitely one of those bigger crease brushes that came in the kit cannot quite give you the precision you want there with that. So just sort of building it up a little bit, making it a little more visible when the eye is open. I would say if you want to go colorful this holiday season, I mean, this kind of palette really does take you there. It takes you there in a more like loud way, even compared to the BH Cosmetics Naughty palette. But I would say the BH Naughty palette would probably do it for most people. You know, like a lot of people would get that and be like, okay, this is plenty of pops of color, plenty of fun directions. But this is pretty. Can't say I am not really having fun today with this. I'd like to see a little something different fade out from that. What will it be? Like maybe just a little berry over here. Dashly? Dashly. Ooh, coming off kind of pinky berry. I don't like that. Real pigmented. I'm using a super light pressure as I put that on. This would be a really fun palette bingo palette, right? Oh my gosh. I've got to do that. Got to do that. Okay, see that? I'm liking that little bit of fun fade. Kind of making sure it gets everywhere above the whole crease zone. And then let's use this big old guy. He can blend. He's fine with it. Personally, I am wanting to see green just come around the bottom. I'm going back to Saturn Sunday. I might mix in some of Forest too. But I'm just taking that same brush I used in my outer corner. This is the Profusion. It's called the ES6, and it's a brilliant brush for like getting control of the outer corner or your lower lash line, as you can see. But like if you feel like a lot of crease brushes, just the color seems uncontrollable to you in the crease when you put them on. Like this is a smaller brush and it gets the product exactly where you want it to be. But it's mobile enough and it has enough little bit of fluff to, you know, blend it as you go and keep it looking smooth. How are we liking that? Man, that green is so pretty. Let's take a little dancing dolphins. I mean, if we don't reference dolphins in this video, am I really doing Lisa Frank justice? We all had a folder with like 2 dolphins and rainbows and hearts on it, I'm sure. Just brightening that whole lower lash line a little bit. You can always try to go a little bit brighter there if you're doing a colorful thing, I think, because on the lower lash line the color is so concentrated in that small zone that it kind of makes you want to go just a little step brighter because it doesn't have the space to spread out and really show like the larger parts of your eye do. All right, that's fun. Like to me, some people might look at this and say, you just did that with the Lisa Frank palette, but like to me this is color the way I like to wear it. I like to keep it in sort of an application method that makes sense for me, that makes me feel comfortable, but using those little color additions that keep it fun. I mean, this is a fun palette. This has a lot of possibilities. We just dipped our toe in, but it was fun to get out of the color family for a second. Say, okay, we did green, but let's pull in pink, or let's pull in a little bit of berry to go around the outside. I'm gonna do a little black liner with this look. I'm just gonna use my Wet n Wild Breakup Proof. Just a little wing there for some lift. Additionally, I want to go light in my lower inner rim, so in comes the ABH double-ended highlighter pencil there. I use the matte side. It's the Sand Shimmer and Matte Camille is what it's called. Oops. What are you doing falling off of there? The shimmer side is really nice, like to do your inner corner if you didn't have like a shimmery shadow. Also like tops of the cheekbones, Cupid's bow, like a little shimmer on the Cupid's bow. It's a very nice little multitasking thing. Next, we are just curling up these lashes, and I'm going to use this Maybelline Lash Sensational Sky High Mascara. Packaging is cool. I love the color. I like the print, kind of the raised print on the outside there. However, I used it yesterday. I was kind of disappointed. I felt like it was lengthening, but I wanted so much more out of it. So I actually like put on a couple coats and then I topped it off with some Superhero. The tip is very, very flexible. So we're talking short rubber bristles, a little bit tapered, you know, a little bit smaller toward the end, which I like to see. It's good so far about not clumping my lashes together. See what I mean? Decent length, decent separation. I just want a little more like thickness. Maybe we'll come back and we'll try recoating that one. Still using the Shiseido Gold Lash Curler. What a great stocking stuffer that would be. I mean, give somebody a really nice lash curler. They'll be thanking you all year long. And it comes in a really cute box too. It's so pretty. See how I'm just not getting all I want out of this? This might be a good candidate for some Estee Lauder Little Black Primer underneath. I've described it as something that practically like texturizes your lashes. It gives your own lash a little better ability to grab the mascara that's being put on. So it's only day 2 with this one, friends, so I can't like judge it too hard, but it's just not an immediate success story for me, this Lash Sensational Sky High. What I'm gonna do for lips, I didn't really get a new thing, but this shade, like this kind of berry thing that's happening right outside the eye area or right above the crease, makes me want to pull in a liquid lip like this. This is Lover, the Maybelline Matte Ink. Kind of a pinky soft berry. Gonna wear all day long, so you better like it. To make your liquid lipstick feel thinner, coat the bottom, blot it to the top like by going muh, and then just smooth it out without going back for more product in your tube, if you can. This one, like I've used enough of it, the applicator isn't quite as loaded down as it used to be. But still, go with the thinnest amount you can get on and you'll be more comfortable and it will wear the most evenly all day. Oh, that shade is so pretty. So guys, what do we think of the look? I am really enjoying the eye. I love that kind of unexpected fusion of green plus the pink. Really makes me happy. I like seeing the green all the way under the under eye area too. The shades were nice, nicely pigmented. So far, what I've used was very, what you see is what you get. Even a rich forest green was showing up very true to color. And also it didn't generate a lot of fallout, which was really nice to see. And it's also nice to note that among the shimmers, let's point out where the shimmers are in this palette. Here, a very soft, like kind of satiny shimmer. There's a shimmer here, another satin soft shimmer, a little more bold shimmer over here, bold shimmer, soft shimmer, bolder shimmer, like satin and satin down here. The rest is matte. I like that they didn't throw in a lot of real curveball, let's play with texture like crazy types of shades that could be really fussy and hard. I think most everything in here, my prediction is that darn near everything here is probably going to be what you see is what you get type color. I mean, there's yellow. And there's this really pretty like coral shimmer underneath the yellow. Let's swatch the hot pink. Yeah, I mean, it looks real promising as far as color showing up. You know, it's a Lisa Frank palette. They gotta be able to go there. Definitely more impressed with the palette than the brush set. The brush set does come in a bag that's like a really generously sized bag. You could probably fit a full face of makeup in here. Like, it's pretty big compared to the amount of brushes you have. The face ones, like blush and highlight, I could see me reaching for those more. The two real fluffy crease brushes, sure, for blending, that's fine. This one, like, I almost wanted it to be a little bit smaller than it was. It looks like a jumbo size smudge brush, and I need to take the word jumbo out of that so I can use it a little better. The flat brush was great though, a real asset to the set, I think. So we're talking about half the brush set I was really satisfied with, so. Other parts of the look, I feel like all the complexion steps came together and said, Skin Paradise, you might not be the best product in the world, but we're going to do our part to make this like the best looking face we can. I mean, that primer, I'm super enthused about the butter primer. This stick format I think is great. It felt so good about being kind of hydrating, but really skin smoothing. So I'm going to be messing with that with so many other foundations in the future. My concealer was nothing new, but that did a lot coverage wise for us. I think I'm loving the addition of Ethereal Light as a setting powder. I mean, that really looked good. The Clinique, the Cheek Pop stuff, we're not feeling the need to go back and add any more blush after this, are we? Or more highlight. The glow is there. Feeling really good about that. Not so good about the mascara, but you win some, you lose some. So thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you to everybody who goes out of their way to share my videos, to get on their social media and pop one out there to their friends. I mean, that's how the channel grows. That's how the channel stays alive. So I appreciate you doing that, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you again soon. Bye.